Hey everyone, once again back at it with the MX-5. Still waiting on the parts to do the engine work, so I thought I'd keep myself busy in the meantime and do some extra bits when it comes to cleaning. So where I'm at now is I've stripped the interior, both seats are out as you can see, and we've taken the passenger and driver's seatbelt out in an effort to clean them. So here's the seatbelt soup. That was nice and clear a moment ago, but after 20 minutes it's absolutely foul in there. But the ultrasonic cleaner should hopefully get a lot of the grease out, which in turn stops the seat belts from retracting. And then the next thing I'm going to work on is the wheels. So obviously we're not looking at a concourse car. What we're going to do is we're just going to go straight for traffic film remover, give it a spray down, try and get into the crevices, just get a lot of the gunk off it so they come up nice enough. And then we'll check threads, we'll see whether or not any of these tyres are good. From the outset, two of them are definitely keepers, the other two are a bit sketch, but we'll see how far gone they may be. And then we've also give the rocker cover and the engine cover a clean before putting them back on the engine, where we will give them another once over and tidy it all up. Fingers crossed it all works. So yeah, get ready for a hyperlapse of cleaning some wheels. Okay, that one's been done. A quick spritz and a couple of times over. Some of the powder coat and the paint is starting to peel off on the backside. These are definitely in need of a, an acid dip and a fill and powder coat. But we're not making a concourse car. It's going to be like a £2,000 car, and it just needs to look good at 5-10 meters away. So I'll do the rest of these off camera. The only thing, like I mentioned in one of the previous videos, that one does have a slight wobble in the alloy itself, which we might be able to back into place, but we'll give them a clean and then we'll see how they come out. Moving on. So here is the seatbelt soup. So that's nice and warm, quite hot actually. Ow, ow, ow. Yeah, these were filthy. Probably tough to see on camera, but you can see the quality of the inside. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna let this cool, then I'm gonna drain it, put some clean stuff in again, and I'm gonna keep cleaning it like this until the fluid is clean, or fairly clean, and hopefully that should make them clean enough that they roll back nicely. I'll also clean the mechanisms and maybe give them a bit of a silicone grease. So there they are after a quick scrub. I think for the most part they came out okay, and against the Galaxy Grey paintwork I think they'll pop quite well. So the only worry I have is looking at the tread is this particular tyre, which I think was on the near side front. As you can see, it's bald all along. I'm not sure whether or not that indicates maybe these particular tyres on the front are matching, same date code and everything, so I imagine they've been put on at the same time. This could indicate a tracking issue. I'm not sure. These could have been on the rear at some point because it's a square setup. God knows. Either way, this one is not so great. But the opposite one, which is this one, is in good condition. This one's not in bad condition. It's just this particular part is worn really bad. So I'm thinking at least 2 replacement tyres should do the trick. But all in all, I think that's going to be pretty much it for today. It was just a question of cleaning a few bits, waiting for the other parts to arrive, which should hopefully be with us fairly soon, and then we can get under the bonnet and fix it up. Welcome back everyone, and today, you guessed it, we're going to be working on the MX-5 again. The kit has arrived that I need to put the rocker cover back on, do a flush, and check to see whether or not we can get it running smoothly again. So we're going to replace the sparks, we're going to do an engine flush with a new oil and filter, we're going to let it run and see whether or not we get any new codes or issues, and then once that's done, we can get some wheels on it, and if it's all good, get some wheels on it, put it back on the ground, and have a ride around and see whether or not we're good to move on to the next steps. So first things first, need to get the gaskets on the rocker cover, and whilst I'm here, we've got the seat belts drying. I'll show you the liquid, which is still here. That is what came out of the ultrasonic cleaner. So that will be 100,000 miles of, like, I don't know, skin and oils and stuff like that. So, you know, I put it through 2 washes. I'm going to give it another scrub, and then once it's back in the car, we'll test. You know, I'll also grease the mechanism and just try and give it its best chance of working properly and see how that goes, whilst also cleaning the interior. There's a lot to do, so let's just get to it. So the rocker cover is back on now. It's nice and snug. I torqued all the bolts up, did it in the crisscross pattern. I believe there might be an actual order of operations as to which one you do, but to be fair, I've done it like this before and everything's been fine. I'm going to put the spark plugs in next, torque them up, and then I'm going to put the coil packs on, but I'm going to swap them around because we were getting the code for cylinder 2 misfire. So, you know, if we end up getting a code for cylinder 3, for example, then that could point towards that particular coil pack being bad. So we're going to get the spark plugs in now, and yeah, give it a shot. Let's see how we go. Let's remind ourselves of how bad the previous spark plugs were. So here it is. As you can see, pretty horrid, and one of them was bust. But now we've got some clean NGK plugs, which are pre-gapped. So let's get these in. I'm going to torque these up to, I think it's 14 newton meters. So, sparks are in, coils are on, I think battery's charged. We'll start her up I've also got the code reader in, just in case. So here we go. Okay. Sounds good. Let's have a look. Any codes? OBD2. Read codes. Nothing so far. Sounds pretty sweet, to be honest. What's the oil pressure like? Bang in the middle, which is nice. When I got the car, one thing I did notice is it was a lot higher. It was like 3/4, so. It's idling good. Oh. Idle slightly unstable. Okay. Okay, what we'll do is we need to give it a service anyway, so we'll do the engine flush, and we'll keep it running for a bit and see where we get to. A bit of bad news, or what it feels like bad news. You guys can tell me. So it was running okay during the warm-up cycle before I put the engine flush in. So when I pressed down on the accelerator, when it dropped back to idle, there was a bit of shuddering, which, you know, it's been off the battery recently. It hasn't driven for a while. It's just had some new spark plugs, so on and so forth. That could just be, you know, it's adjusting itself again, or there could be a vacuum leak somewhere. So I need to investigate, pay attention to where, you know, has the gasket gone on 100% correct? There doesn't seem to be any oil leaks from the gasket at this moment in time. However, when putting the engine flush in, there was, you know, this engine flush is of a lower viscosity, and, you know, it's there to you know, get rid of all the crap that's in the engine. But there was a ticking noise coming from a tapping noise. So I got the good old stethoscope, or the screwdriver to the ear technique, got that out, and you can hear it when putting it up to the, you know, the middle lower part of the engine. You can hear this consistent tap 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 tap, or punch 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 punch. So does it have piston slap? I'm hoping. You know, I'm draining the oil now. It's the blackest oil you've ever seen. You know, part of that could be because of the engine flush. It is meant to get a lot of gunk out. Fair enough. It looked black anyway. It didn't look terrible when looking at the oil quality through the top. But what's coming out is not so fresh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the filter off now. Once it's finished draining, fill it back up. I've got some new oil for it, and then we'll go, and a new filter obviously, and then we'll go from there. Well, you join me a couple of hours later, and yeah, bad news. So with the engine turning over, I was hearing the knocking noise, or the tick. It's hard to describe. It's a bit like a marble inside a box or something like that. And even though no smoke was coming out for a good portion of time, once it had got up to full temperature, the blue smoke, a very light blue smoke, started to perpetuate again. So I took off the rocker cover once again, and the new gasket had failed. Just almost disintegrated, and I think it's because the engine must have got super hot. Luckily, I still had the old gasket that was on the car, which was in okay condition. Not the best, but you know, it's going to help me with troubleshooting. I think it will do the job. The rocker cover was over tightened to begin with, so I don't think that helped. Reinstalled that, and then and that was it. There was a little bit of oil on one of the spark plugs, and that's what I thought that was down to the gasket. Reinstalled the rocker cover with the gaskets once again, and started her up. The knocking wasn't as bad, oddly enough. However, the smoke was starting to bellow again. So, taking out the coil packs and the spark plugs once more, there was still some oil on the cylinder furthest away from the firewall, some oil on the spark plug. So I've taken all the coils out, and I've taken... Hey guys, Lance from the edit here. For some reason the audio cut out on this particular sequence, so I digress. To sum up, basically what had gone on at this point is I was finding oil in one of the spark plugs, so I decided to grab myself a borescope and do some further investigation, because it was still pumping out smoke, it was still juddering, had a juddering idle, still misfiring, albeit not generating any codes. With the new gasket on, now sealed, everything looked fine in terms of like installation. There's something going on deeper, so hence the borescope, which you'll see shortly, to further that investigation. She's looking worse for wear. So, racking my head last night, thinking what should I do with this MX-5, and there was like a million different permutations through my head. You know, do I just sell it on, you know, with all faults displayed, and try and recoup as much money back as possible? Do I go the whole hog and, you know, invest, you know, thousands in, like, you know, more jacks, a hoist, a new engine, a known good engine, and doing the swap on my driveway? You know, I'd learn a lot, and, you know, essentially write it off as a learning experience. Learn a lot doing it. It'll take its time, and the equipment, albeit, you know, I've got limited space for it at the moment, but the equipment would, you know, do me good in future, that type of thing. Or, you know, do I break it? Do I split it for parts and just try and make my money back that way? And another option I was potentially thinking about was buying another one from somewhere like Copart, you know, sight unseen, or getting them to do their video walk around, and if the engine's good, buy that in and donate some of these components to fixing that up, sell that on, and then again break this. No idea. So what I did is I placed an order for a borescope anyway. I just want to be 100% sure what type of issue it is we're dealing with before I make any, like, what I would call like hasty decisions, which will all cost time and money. So let's use the borescope and see what we get. Okay, so hopefully you can see what's going on there. We'll start with the cylinder that's closest to the firewall. And we're in. So it looks very grubby on top. So with this borescope, what we can do is we can, I believe it's hold one of these buttons here. Looks a bit oily on the inside. There's an open valve. It's got deposits all over it, some marks on the inside as well. Okay, let's go next one in. Oh, these are caked. Absolutely caked. Open as well. The surface seems really caked. Seems super oily as well. I mean, this looks bad to me. I'm no professional or anything. I'll have to double check this, but what are people's opinions and thoughts? Again, absolutely caked. And the one that had, going into the cylinder now, that had the spark plug marks here, nasty. This is going into the cylinder that was actually knackered. Compression wise, yeah, it looks like there's some marks there. Oh, go back in. Okay, that's enough of that. So how did they look? On my first opinion is they look like garbage. They look like they've got carbon deposits all over it, which, you know, is expected to a point, being how many miles it's done. I'll have to have a closer inspection, I guess, or a more thorough inspection to see whether or not I can see what's potentially causing that compression issue. But I don't know. I have the feeling it's just it's toast, and my best option is to maybe buy another one and donate some parts from this. You know, buy an accident damaged one or something like that and donate some parts from this to that accident damaged one, break the rest of this, and then put that accident damaged one back on the road. But yeah, I think that's going to call it for this. A brief update and on the situation. Yeah, anything you guys, any suggestions, any ideas, or whether or not it, you know, it is savable, you tell me. I just feel like, you know, going the whole hog, investing £1,000 in equipment, you know, more money in an engine, and then trying to do all that on my driveway. I was like the first car doing this type of thing with, is maybe just not necessarily beyond me, but just a bit more than I actually want to do now. And it doesn't help that the Mark III engines are a nightmare to remove. You've either got to take it out the top with the gearbox in, and you know, there's potentially some cutting involved. Mazda themselves, they drop it through the bottom on the subframe with some of the running gear, and you know, they get their car high up on a lift to do that, or they, you know, I've seen some people do it DIY by getting it on a hoist and lifting it really high, which just sounds like a lot for the space I've got and the type of floor we've got here, which is very, very notchy and gravelly. So I don't think that would necessarily be too safe nor a good idea. So yeah, anyway, I digress. What do people think? Let me know in the comments below. Cheers, see you soon.